Welcome to Platemark, the podcast about prints, printmaking, and the collaborative community that brings them to life. I'm Ann Shafer, curator, fair organizer, and your guide to the art world's most charming corner. Each episode features conversations with the artists, printers, scholars, and advocates shaping the field today. Platemark, bettering the world one print at a time. Today, we're diving deep into the vibrant world of New York's printmaking community with a very special guest, Marie Tennyson, the Executive Director of the Lower East Side Printshop. Marie has an incredible story, starting out fresh from college as the office manager at ULAE and eventually finding her way to leading an institution that has been a collaborative beacon for artists since 1968. We're going to talk about the magic of the print process, the vital importance of affordable studio space in New York City, and how the print shop supports artists in taking bold new risks. As always, images we talk about are over in the show notes at platemarkpodcast.com. Without further ado, let's get rolling. Marie, it's great to see you. Thank you so much for coming on Platemark today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Well, of course. We've known each other for a long time. And as I said to you before we started rolling, I'm interested in talking to people who have adjacent creative roles in the ecosystem, and you are a perfect example of that. So I just wanted to, sit down and give a little chat. Can you introduce yourself for everybody?
Sure. My name is Marie Tennyson. I'm the Executive Director of the Lower East Side Printshop, conveniently located in Midtown Manhattan, not the Lower East Side. We're a nonprofit print shop that started in 1968, and we've been in Midtown West for about 20 years. And I've been the Executive Director for just about a year and a half.
Oh my God.
I know.
I feel like you've been there long. The pandemic screwed up time.
Yeah. No, about a year and a half. I really am happy I'm here. It's been a good move for me.
Yeah, well, that's great. I forget that the 1968 date is the start date for Lower East Side, because that's like way back with, the Geminis and everybody.
I know. We will be celebrating 60 years in 2028. So in which sounds weird to say, but in just 2 years. And Gemini is celebrating 60 this year, I think, 2026. So yeah, we were alongside. We were a little different. We're a little scrappier. So we were founded by Eleanor Magid, who had just moved to New York and was doing things at the Robert Blackburn printmaking workshop and was friendly with Robert Blackburn. And there was a teacher's strike, which I understand now. Having two girls, I understand the severity of the situation. There was a teacher strike in all the public schools and the universities as well. Oh. And so she did what any wonderful human would do and say, come on over, we're going to make prints, because she had a press. And so she started this. It was people of all ages, 5-year-olds and 60-year-olds, 7-year-olds upwards. And they were all just making work and having something to do during this time, because it was months. It was like September to November in the fall of 1968. And my understanding is that Bob Blackburn would visit and bring materials. And it was this beautiful community that was born out of kind of a necessity. Like, what are we going to do? And so everybody went back to school. She was teaching at Queens College, I believe. But the community still wanted the print shop, because that's what print shops are. They're this wonderful community. So they wanted to keep going. So they eventually got another space on East 4th Street. Lower East Side Printshop was there until 2005.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
I didn't realize that. Jesus. True confessions. And I'm very, very embarrassed to say that I've never been there.
What? Unacceptable. Well, it's kind of funny that I first visited in 2006. I didn't quite live in New York yet. I was visiting for the summer. So we had been in this building for just less than a year. And actually, I was like fresh out of college. I had like 1 foot in college and 1 foot out. And I applied for a job here.
Oh.
And I didn't even get an interview.
Oh.
But here we are. So there's a lesson in perseverance in all of this. But yes, so now I'm executive director. But it's funny. I got a very nice rejection letter.
Oh, very good.
From Dushitsa Kurjakovic, who is here. She was the executive director of Lower East Side Printshop for just about 30 years. So big shoes to fill. She's the one that got this campaign together to move to this space, because she recognized that we needed more space, the print shop, the community studio. So we have just over 4,000 square feet here. We have a community studio where members and our key holder artists and residents can access 24/7. And then we have our publishing studio. Our publishing residency takes place where we do our projects and collaborate with artists. We have a gallery, a small gallery space where we can exhibit keyholder work, our publishing residents' work. We invite curators in to do things. And then we have some offices and digital imaging rooms and that kind of thing. So yes, you have an open invitation to visit anytime. It's in that really charming area between the Port Authority and Penn Station of Manhattan. Really niche, lovely little gem of a neighborhood. But once it's a print nerd's dream. You get in this really lovely building with the doorman. You take the elevator to the 6th floor. The elevators open up, and there's a print shop. You've got the community shop on the right, and the gallery and the offices on the left, and it's just everything you need.
Do you happen to remember how long from the time of the founding, from the school strike, to the beginning of the publishing aspect?
So there was something called special editions, and that was getting going. There were always key holders, like members that had, that paid rent and had access to this community studio. But the publishing side, I think, really got cranking up in the early 2000s and special editions. And at that time, it was a little different. Like artists could pitch ideas, like I want to do an edition. This is what I want to do. I believe Jenny C. Jones did something like that. Amy Cutler in the earlier days. And then it just really took off. And that became a part of the programming in which it became invitational. I think early 2000s, around 2000, it became more formal. And then it stopped. There was it stopped and then it started again. Because it was a community shop, the history was ups and downs, like navigating the financial crisis of the late 80s. And then there was no staff and it was all volunteers. And Dushitz was the artistic director and became the executive director in the early 90s. And then, just navigating all of the things that were happening at the time. And then 9/11. And I don't exactly know what our first publication was exactly, because it was kind of more organic and not so official. It wasn't as tidy as Gemini and ULAE.
Right. Well, it's fascinating because the primary and first intention wasn't to become what it had become.
And they were printing posters. I mean, think about the time, there was no, it was you would do screen prints and posters, and they would do them for other nonprofits and got some funding from NISCA and DCLA to do that kind of thing. So it was a little edgier and a little more scrappy always. Than we are now going to be fine art print publishers. It was let's make art. Let's
members of the IFPDA.
Yes. Welcome.
That's cool. I'm always curious because, you know this, and everybody who listens knows this, that I've still study Atelier 17, and it started inadvertently as well. I'm always fascinated by how did it start? Did you mean it?
Right. I know it was just kind of this thing, and then it became another. And it was always kind of a community-run thing, and everybody was volunteering at times, or even when there was no budget. Actually, I know that there was some overlap. I think that Krishna Reddy visited the Lower East Side Printshop in its early days, and maybe even taught or did some collaboration with Eleanor Majid back in the early days. It's all kind of was born out of necessity and then became this community that is still thriving. And I've actually met Eleanor. She's maybe 92 or 93. Wow. I finally got a chance to meet her, and she's just as enthusiastic about the print shop and what are you doing and how's it going, and just visited here a couple of times. But there were founder syndrome or anything. She definitely created it and then let it go off and fly away and be free.
I also love that there haven't been that many directors over the course of time, but they've all been women.
Just about, to the best of my knowledge, I believe at least 90% of them have been women. And that's kind of extraordinary because it was founded by a woman, as many of these, as you know, print shops were.
But so you've had an interesting pathway to get here, because when I met you, I think you were still with the Neiman Center, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's right. I met you over 10 years ago. Over 10 years ago at the Baltimore Print Fair.
You had just married.
I did. Yeah, really. Yes. You look at that. Yes. Newlyweds.
You were
having
total
a little
newlyweds.
getaway in Baltimore. And he installed my booth. I mean, it's nice being married to an artist. It has its perks. We did that fair. And I think that's how we got to know each other. And at that time, I was the associate director of the Leroy Neiman Center for Print Studies, which is a fine art print shop in Columbia University's School of the Arts. Right. And I was there about 7-8 years, I think. But that's not where I started. You know where I started?
Oh, where'd you start?
my first job in New York when I was 22 was the office manager of Universal Limited Art Editions, ULAE. I was 22. I was fresh out of college. Actually, I have a degree in art education, and so I had every intention of being an art teacher. I was introduced to printmaking, I think, freshman year at the University of South Carolina with Professor Mary Robinson.
You're a Gamecock?
I am.
Oh my gosh, wow.
I don't watch any sports, but yes, technically speaking, I am a Gamecock. And so I took a printmaking class just, for just my art credit, art education degree. I was hooked immediately. I was like, printmaking is amazing. This is incredible. I didn't even know that it would be possible to continue doing this as a career. I just loved the experimental nature of it. I loved the community aspect of it, of course, problem solving and just the magic of like you're working on something and then you get something from that. And I took as many classes as I could while still getting my BFA in art education. I was offered a job to teach elementary school art. And I said yes. And they kept calling me and be like, you gotta come in and sign the contract. And I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna do that. And then I said, no, in fact, I'm gonna move to New York. And so I moved to New York with somebody that I was with at the time. That's another story for another podcast. And we got to New York and we ended up on Long Island. And of course I knew about ULAE from school, from classes. And I was like, I'm going to find this place. I'm going to find it. And actually I was in Islip and ULAE is in Bayshore. And with
what
its
are the
regional
chances?
It was kismet. And so I tracked it down. I mean, this is like 2006. So we're talking MapQuest. We're talking print out the directions and find it. I popped in and I found ULAE. This is before there was even really a sign on the door. Now they have a sign on the door, but there was this little like little stained glass thing that was probably a gift that was in one of the windows that said ULAE. And I was like, I got it because it's a little bit off the beaten path, the studio. And so I popped in and I was like, hi, I would like a job, please. Like I would like to work here. I'm here. I've arrived. And I mean, fresh off, just fresh in New York. Like, I had nothing to lose. I had no friends. I had no job. I was like, I need to find my people. I need to find my printmaking people. So Larissa wasn't there. Bill wasn't there that day. They were very nice. And Brian Berry was there. He's still there now. They showed me around and I brought my resume. And I would have swept the floor. And then they invited me to an opening at Larissa Goldstein Gallery.
Oh.
So, of course, I went. And I spent at least 45 minutes, like, working up the courage to introduce myself to Larissa. Like, I think I looked at I've never spent so much time in an exhibition. I think I looked at every piece. It was an exhibition it was Kiki Smith. It was Moment. So it was a series of, I believe they were lithos with like pochoir and all these different things. So it's essentially kind of the same piece, but just with different elements. But I was like staring at each one. Finally introduced myself to Larissa, told her I wanted to be a printer. Like I was ready to, that I was a printer. And she invited me back to the studio. And then eventually I didn't really hear anything. And so then I got an email. And she asked me to meet her at the Crab Shack, this is Long Island. So it was like, I forget what it was called, maybe Nikki's Crab Shack or something like that. And so I met her there and we had lunch and she offered me a job as an office manager. Like, I know you wanted to be a printer, but would you have any interest in working in the office? And I was like, of course, like I'll do anything, like Rauschenberg, John's, like Kiki, like who am I going to meet? Like, of course, like I'll clean the bathrooms, which I did eventually do because everybody does a little bit of everything there. but anyway, so she offered me a job. She gave me a chance. And I quote, she said, and I've teased her about this because this is 20 years this year that this opportunity came my way and changed the course of my life. She said, taking a chance on you is better than our current situation. Oh. So yes, you can have a job. And I was like, gee, thanks. Okay, great. Let's do it. And my first day of work was like November something 2006. And it was at the EAB fair.
Oh, what?
I had to work. My first day at ULAE was like,
Oh.
put me in, coach. It was I was on in a booth at the EAB fair, the 2006 iteration of the EAB fair, which obviously the Lower East Side Printshop took over from the wonderful Susan Inglet. Like I forget what year, 2013. I'm not
2014, it says.
2014. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was my first sink or swim moment. And I was in a booth with artwork that I did not know.
Oh.
And there was a beautiful, I didn't, it's fresh off
Day
the press.
one.
Yeah. And someone was like, is that a Helen Frankenthaler? And I'm like, yes. I don't recognize it from the catalog raisonné. And I'm like, it's because it's new. It's new here. It says
It's wet.
2006. Yeah, it's like it's new. It's not in the catalog or something. And it was a total, fake until you make it. But I learned so much. I learned so much from that sink or swim moment doing the EAB fair. And then being in the office every day at ULAE, that was at the time when Bill Goldston was directing and Larissa was working there, but also had her gallery in Chelsea. So she would come in on Mondays but I was there all day, every day. And I learned a lot from Bill and I became a part of this amazing community. And many of the people that I was with then are still there. And
well, that wasn't that long ago for some of us.
I know. It's true. And I feel that. And it's like, what is time anyway? And I'm still like in the post like pandemic blip too, but it was pretty incredible because, I'm fresh out of college and I'm 22 and I'm having lunch with, Lisa Scavage and Kiki Smith and James Sienna and, watching James print the backs of old lithostones that had cigar things on it. And now I'm at the Lower East Side Printshop. I'm actually working with his partner, Katia Santibanez.
Love Katia.
So it's, she's wonderful. Well, you've had them on your show, but
no offense, James, but I own one of Katia's prints and not one of yours.
I need both of them in my collection.
I know. I'm working on it.
It's a process. Yeah, my collection is based mainly on gifts and also printer's proofs because I did do a little bit of printing.
Did you?
Mm-hmm. They let me print. Brian let me wipe a plate on an Amy Cutler print once. And because I adore Amy, and that was I love etching, and it was an etching, and so I got to do that, and that was it. That was the end of I did a little bit of printing at the University of South Carolina, has an atelier that Mary Robinson ran, and I did do some printing for that venture, but it's not for me. Huh. I love being around it.
Yeah.
I love the process, but what I really love is going into a studio where a master printer and an artist is working and going in there and be like, yeah, you're doing great. And then exiting the stage left and then coming and checking, like being around that collaborative process. Why I was never interested in being in a museum, or even when I was at ULAE the second time, which it was ULAE Neiman Center for Print Studies at Columbia, ULAE and Lower East Side Printshop. The second time at ULAE, I was the director of sales, and ULAE has a showroom on 20th Street between 5th and 6th Avenue. And it's a beautiful space with wonderful light, and they show works there, and they have flat files. But that was where I was working every day by appointment. And I missed the studio. I missed being around the artists and smelling the inks and the solvents and, just being around that creative energy and watching an artist come in. Maybe they had an idea of what they wanted to do, maybe not. I'd get to, because I would do this all the time as office manager. The first time at ULAE, I would be in the office and I'd run in and see what Tip Dunham was working on or see what new kind of interesting thing was happening and then go back. And so I would make a point to go out to the studio as much as I could on Long Island, but I did miss that aspect of the wonderful quality of being in a community of a print shop.
Right. How long were you in the sales room?
I did that for 5 years. I left Neiman in 2019, and
what?
I know I left Neiman in 2019, and then I was there for half a year, and then lockdown, and then pandemic.
Oh my God! I completely thought it was before the pandemic. It's like
I know It's a blip.
Blip. I don't.
It's so confusing. It's so weird that
Is.
it was 6 years ago too. It's just really strange.
Yeah.
And it was tricky to be a director of sales
Yeah.
because I love showing prints and I love print fairs and doing art fairs. But I was like showing prints on FaceTime.
Oh, geez.
Just like, or on Zoom. And then we started using Artsy a little bit more and we made it work. And it turns out, people were kind of at home and saying, I don't like this white wall.
They were shopping. Yeah.
Shopping. And so I was helping a little bit with that. But how do you run a studio? I remember Christopher Wool came out and signed something that March and it was like just under the wire. Like I'm not even sure anyone was wearing masks yet. And then it was done. And so it was a strange time but we survived it. And also for Larissa too, because that's when she took over for Bill a little bit before that. But she asked me to come back and join her team, which meant a lot. And I had a wonderful experience at Columbia with Tomas Vu, and it was difficult to leave, but it was also time to challenge myself and do something different. So we were going strong, and then COVID kind of had knocked the wind out of our sails, but Larissa righted the ship and we kept going, and eventually we had artists coming out, or we had one person working in every room and no more lunches together, things like that. It changed a lot.
Right.
And it was challenging for the Lower East Side Printshop too, as well, because how do you run a community studio in a pandemic? It's complicated.
Right. How did you do it? Did you have people swiping in on a schedule or something? Or
I believe there was a lot of scheduling. We have an amazing programs director, Kyung Yu, and Kyung she's been here for just over 8 years. And I actually knew Kyung from when I was doing the EAB fair with the Neiman Center. Yeah, she was really a big part of keeping the studio going. And when I was offered the job to be the executive director, I think my second or third question was, is Kyung still there?
Still there?
I need to know, because that's really important. So we have an amazing team. We have Kyung Yu, who's the programs director, Ian Reppenthal, who is our assistant printer and shop manager. We have Nathan Catlin, who I knew from Columbia, joined us as a master printer this past fall. Most recently, we've been able to add an education coordinator position. So we have Rosa Chang. Yes, we're growing. And we have Elspeth Pancrazi, who's our director of development, who's remote. And yes, so it's a team that's growing. But yes, is Kyung still there? Yes. Okay, well, let's talk. Very thankful.
Oh, that's funny. So where does the budget come from? Does it come from the publications arm?
Nonprofit is a little bit new to me. Of course, I had that experience at the Leroy Neiman Center for Print Studies, but of course that is from an endowment by the wonderful Leroy Neiman and the Neiman Foundation.
Right. Not to mention a huge university behind everything.
I know. But actually it's really is Leroy Neiman and that foundation. Yeah. And so we have no endowments. So, I mean, not yet.
I was going to say.
You want your name. You would like your name on something here. Call me.
That's right.
But the gallery.
Hear ye, people.
Yes, right. Yes, if you like us, tell others about us. But this is an interesting thing that I'm learning, and it is a labor of love, and it is a lot. But we have many different ways of making income. Well, Christina Weil, who's on our board, she described it as it's like a stool, and you have different legs of the stool, and sometimes you're leaning, the weight is going on one and sometimes it's going on another, and we're definitely a wobbly stool, but we're making it work. And we have an incredible board of 9. John Cagle is the president of the board, and he's a big part of why I'm here, why the Lower East Side Printshop is here, because the rent is high, and he was able to negotiate our rent down. And then Jill Marino is the vice president. Jackie Battenfield has been on the board for 25 years. And there's just a lot of heart and spirit and camaraderie within that group. And so they're immensely supportive. And then we do individual fundraising, obviously, end of the year campaigns and things. We apply for grants from NISCA, DCLA, the government ones. But then also we have support from foundations. I'm so thankful for, all of the foundation support. The publishing residency and this is the part that I was obviously most comfortable with given my background. We invite artists to create editions of prints, and then I sell those to museums, galleries, and collectors and viewers like you. And that's great because that's so wonderful because you're acquiring a piece of art, but you're also supporting a nonprofit and helping keep those lights on and the doors open and accessible to this community studio where artists can come and experiment. They don't have to have any experience in printmaking. They can have their day job and come in during the evenings, 24/7 swipe access. Honestly, for me, what is New York if there's not this space for artists to come and work? And I mean, because, we can't turn into a shopping mall. We have to have places where artists can come, New York City in general. There has to be a place for artists to come and work and create. And what it takes to have a printmaking studio, the etching presses and the exposure units and all of that cumbersome material and equipment. That is where we come in. And for $375 a month, you can be
$175?
$75 a month.
Wow.
You can have 24/7 access to a community studio that has an exposure unit, an etching room, 3 etching presses, a vacuum table. You get a flat file. You get a storage unit, which a storage unit in Manhattan is way more than $375 a month, but you get a little storage file. And we've kept this price. I think it's been $375 for at least 7 or 8 years. We've kept that as low and accessible as possible. You can even rent the community studio. You can even rent it by the week for $200, or you can rent it by the hour for $20. And that's cheaper than lunch in this neighborhood. So
seriously,
there's that. So a lot of people actually will come and cut their copper plates on our cut plate cutter, expose their screens, and then take them else and pay their $20 and call it a day. So it's amazing to have that resource, as a lot of other places have gone out to Brooklyn or ceased to exist altogether. As far as community print shops go in Manhattan, it's pretty much us and Robert Blackburn Printmaking Workshop, which have an amazing team. And then we have Center for Book Arts is here in this general area. Blackburn's 2 blocks north. Center for Book Arts is just a little bit south. But Dudonnet used to be next door. They're now, as you know, in Brooklyn. Manhattan Graphic Center is in Brooklyn, which they have an amazing facility. But as far as Manhattan goes and the central aspect of the Lower East Side Printshop, the fact that we have people coming from New Jersey because they can just pop in at Penn or Connecticut, it's very central and easy to get to. And honestly, when I visited New York, for the first time in 2006, when I was scoping out, could I live here that summer? I just like I tracked down ULAE, I certainly tracked down the Lower East Side Printshop too. And I don't know about this whole pop-in thing, but I don't know if I would suggest that anymore, the pop-in, but I popped in to Lower East Side Printshop. But I just remember being so encouraged to find this place. I'm in this amazing city. I'm in the middle of Manhattan, and here are a bunch of people rolling out ink and screen printing and working together and making art. And I was like, this is the most amazing, city in the whole world. And I have to be here. And eventually I did get here. So I've totally taken this on a whole other area, but how do we make money?
That's true.
Yeah. We have a lot of ways. So selling the prints, we also do contract printing. So we've been the printer on many publications, including major ones that you've seen, like at the Venice Biennale, for example. The prints by Jeffrey Gibson, I Am a Rainbow Too, were printed. They were published by Sycamore Mole Jenkins, but they were printed at the Lower East Side Printshop with Eric Hogan, who was master printer at the time. We do tours, demos, and workshops. We'll design workshops if sometimes corporations will reach out to us. They want to do something other than just like a happy hour with their
team building.
Yes, they do. We do trust falls. No, but we everybody gets to make a print, or everybody gets to pull a screen print, or they get to try something. We had an architecture firm in here recently, and I thought they would all do buildings, and they didn't. They did flowers. They did their dogs. They did donkeys. They did all. It was really, really fun, and they did dry points, and everybody left with a print. And I think that I take for granted how much, because I'm around it all the time, people crave doing things with their hands and making things and getting away from a computer and doing something super analog, as, doing something the same way that Rembrandt did it.
Yeah.
So that's a program that we're developing more as another source of income, doing these private workshops and after hours events and things like that. But But yes, we're constantly looking at how we can serve the community and also bring in new streams of revenue and continue to, because what our mission is to provide affordable studio space to artists, but also educate people about prints and allow them to investigate prints, collect prints, and be able to create them. I'm going to say our mission statement one more time because it's pretty important.
Yeah, go for it.
So
it's right here, right above your desk.
I do. I look at it every day because it's nice to remember. I have above my desk, I have our mission and core values, because on those days, because we're running a nonprofit in New York in this day, like in 2026. And what does that mean? And on days when I'm like, what are we doing? Why am I here? Wow. Like I do two things. I go and look and see what's in the studio and take a deep breath. And I'm like, okay. And then I look at our mission and our core values. And so the Lower East Side Printshop is a nonprofit printmaking studio that supports contemporary artists of all career backgrounds, which I really like because it's really inclusive, in the creation of new work. And we promote excellence in printmaking. And which for me, it's offering opportunities to create and investigate and collect prints, but also, and you've talked about this a lot in your podcast, but dispelling myths about what prints are. And we are not making reproductions of paintings, and and they are unique, original multiples, just explaining, letting people know, because I forget, but not everybody understands, and they need to see it and they need to try it, and then it clicks, and we will forever be educating people about that. You know this, right? This is
I'm afraid you're right.
There's no way around it.
Yeah, but I think there is no way around it, because sometimes I get deflated, like, do I have to explain again why that's a reproduction?
I know, and why it's different, and what different. It is, and
why the word original is problematic.
Yes, exactly. There's no printer button, like, where's the button? And it's like, let me introduce you to the buttons. You have to be passionate about it, but I am very grateful that I'm doing what I wanted to do, and that I was able to find a way to continue working in printmaking, because I didn't really know what would be possible. And I had every intention to go to grad school, but I kept getting kind of like the opportunities that I wanted. And I kept learning so much, like from Bill, Larissa, Tomasvu, like from the people that I was around, and being, just being in the print community, which is the loveliest corner of the art world.
It is.
It really is. It's the team sport aspect. And even, especially within like the nonprofit, even more so within that, it's really a lovely community, and feels like group therapy sometimes, but it's a great place to be. And so we host these groups, like from NYU, like the seniors, undergrad seniors in NYU and Pratt, like the printmaking club or whomever. And they're like, how did you get here? Like, how did you get here? Like, how did you get to do what you wanted to do? And I'm just like, I don't even know. Like, I'm not sure, but I'm here. And what I tell them, I say, don't pop in. Don't do the pop in. Don't
do pop in.
Don't do pop. Make a proper, but anyway, but other than that, I just told them to say yes as much as you can to every opportunity. Like, they invited me to the opening. I went to the opening. Do you want to go to this event, or do you want to go to this artist talk? Do you want to go? Say yes, talk to people, and do as much as you can, and be around, and something good will happen.
Right.
And so I'm still here. I'm here, and that's my advice to all the.
I always suggest that artists particularly, get over any fear they might have of public speaking, and just sort of become at ease with their own story and their own, what they're trying to say in their art and all that kind of stuff, because you will talk for the rest of your life.
Yeah, it's real. It's real. And finding, that is one thing I do feel, and I'm sure you have too, that like you kind of get more confident in what you're doing and what you have to say and what you know. But then you also realize how much you don't know and how much you still have to learn, but like having that openness about it, and trying new things, like what you're doing with the Brooklyn Print Fair, and how successful that is.
Crazy.
That is really exciting. I feel like you're bringing back some of that energy, that void, that, that hole that the EAB fair left. I always loved that fair and the community aspect and how you're bringing people together through that and bringing back that print week.
Yeah, EAB was a great fair, and we all miss it. And my only regret from the EAB and when it shuttered and during the pandemic in 22, I think it was that there are just enough years between then and now for a whole group of people that I was sure would come to Brooklyn have joined the IFPDA.
Oh, really? Oh, wow.
Yep.
That's funny. Well,
Yep.
Well, I know that I would like to be two places at once personally, because we really do fit both molds. And we've talked about this for a long time, even with Baltimore. I think there's certainly room for both, but also I'm always surprised just by how many people are like, even this group from Pratt, they were like, we're going to start our own press. And, they just graduated. And I'm like, oh my gosh,
Wow.
There's still like a genuine interest and it just seems so exhausting because I know how hard it is, but they're young and they have energy. And I guess that was me at one point, but to a certain degree. But yeah, the Brooklyn Print Fair is going to be great. It's going to be a good long weekend. And the audience that's reached is huge uptown and in Brooklyn, which is really exciting.
Yeah, this episode will air long after. So I'm sorry to say, everybody, this
of
episode
course. Yes. The print fair was a huge success.
Yeah, we're talking about 6 weeks before the print fair, and it's the end of February. We just had a huge snow in New York, so we are looking forward to the IPDA fair where you will be, and the Brooklyn fair where I will be. Yes.
Yeah,
so
it's going to be great. Yeah, it was a huge success. It's like manifesting.
It should be. We had about 7,500 people come through last year, which I was like, that's a lot of people. Like, I would have been really happy with 2,000 in Baltimore,
That's
but
so
also
good.
because Powerhouse did that whole performance festival all fall. I don't know if you went out for any of those craziness, like they did a Kentridge opera. Like, it was insane.
Their programming is remarkable. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they say they had about 30,000 people come through the building for various, this, that, and the other thing. And that's a lot of people who now know how to get into that building, which is not easy. It's a little confusing. Yeah, no, we're expecting a good crowd, so we're excited.
Yeah, that's good. And that's people looking at prints, and like, that's good for everybody. This is a team sport.
It is a team sport, and I feel like your girls are younger than my young men, but they're not in any position to buy a house, much less buy some art. And prints, they offer the perfect gateway into collecting. You don't have to go anywhere with it. Like, the level of collecting you're at when you walk into the IFPDA fair or the Brooklyn Fine Art Print Fair is exactly where you should be. So I feel like we really are well positioned for the next generation who are facing some serious economic pressures that we didn't face when we were young, or I didn't. I don't know, you're younger than me, but
no, it's a totally different game now.
It is a totally different game. So prints are, they're sitting pretty, I think.
I do too. I really think so. And I will always encourage, young collectors or anyone really that's starting a collection to really strongly consider prints, because that was the amazing thing about prints for me when I first, understood what it all meant. That you can own something that's also in a museum collection, that you can you don't have to get the art from like IKEA or Bed Bath & Beyond or whatever. Like, you can actually own art and support real artists, living artists, contemporary artists, publishers behind them, and have really interesting pieces, by artists in your home. And that accessibility has always really resonated with me. Not to mention also saying like, oh yes, that's also in the Whitney or whatever, but and you have the work on the wall. But it's because the first of every edition at ULAE goes straight to the Museum of Modern Art, MoMA in New York, and it's been like that since 1960. So that's great for the artists, and that's great for the collectors, and it's all about that ecosystem, and it's pretty special. So.
Yeah. I don't think I ever described for people, like, sometimes I'll sprinkle in these stories about the museum and collecting, but when I pitched something or another curator pitched something and I was like, ooh, I like that, well, more to the point, if I brought something forward and the museum said, no, we're not interested, then I was in the clear to collect it too. But because it's
Yeah.
prints, if they collected something, say Rena or Jay brought in something and I was like, oh, I could have it too after the museum
Yeah.
collected it. So
Yes.
I think I have two things that the museum also has.
I think that's really interesting, especially if you're like starting off in your collection in your home and you have something to talk about too. And after you have people over. And then usually what happens is, especially with younger collectors, they want to understand how it was made. And
Mm-hmm.
that's really fun too. I never get tired of that. Like having these groups in to visit the shop. And, we do a little print viewing and they're looking at the prints and they're like, okay. But now we're going to actually make an etching and they'll walk through it step by step with Ian, which he's done this once. And I remember we had a group of about 30 here, which was a little bit big for us, but we had a group of 30 and I was like, we're going to walk them through the exact process of how we made this print by Kate Shepard. So everybody join us. Ian is going to wipe the plate. I mean, the plate's already made too. He's going to wipe the plate. He's going to prepare the chincole. He's going to trim the chincole. And then we're going to run it through the press. And people were like, oh my gosh, it's taking forever. And I was like, that's right. There's no button. This is how it works. This is the labor. So and this is to make one. This was to make one print. And he is going to do that over and over again. And then Kate is going to look at it and she's going to sign it, make sure that it's what she wants. But that was just to make one. And then they came to see me in a fair and they're like, oh, that's the print we saw Ian make. And oh, it took forever. And I was like, it's an edition of 12 and with some APs. And you always print more than, and they're like, oh, we didn't know. But now you know. Now you know. And because it's important for people to understand. And then the magic of watching, the paper, the reveal of the paper coming off the plate, and that can change you. Printmaking,
I think it does change you, the reveal, for sure.
Yeah, printmaking can change. Katya was here yesterday, and she said, a year ago when she started working with us, she was like, printmaking changed my life.
Oh, wow.
Printmaking changed my life too. I mean, and it's true. I'm here running a nonprofit in the middle of Manhattan and, just a girl from Charleston, South Carolina up here in the big city, living her dream. I know, living her dream of working with artists, collaborating with artists. We're also working with Inka Essenhigh, whom I've admired for years in her paintings. We're working with Eric Lindman. We're going to reveal some prints, or we would have already revealed them, but in April, we've got projects cooking with Sebastian Bremer and Ivan Ford, which Ivan was a key holder. So we have our key holder residency, and that's when we have about 6 artists come in for 9 months. And this is our longest running program of the print shop. And they get the studio for free, carte blanche access. He's a stipend of $1,000. Professional time with Ian, behind the scenes tours, professional development, all of these things. And so Ivan was a key holder in 2014, and we've invited him back because it's really important to me to continue that process of supporting artists and allowing an artist to do something that they wouldn't otherwise be able to do, which of course is the magic of master printers and publishing in general.
I met Ivan out at Powerhouse because he was, I think he was Luther's first artist that they published. And so he was wandering around when we were up for a site visit before the first fair. And we ran into him the night, let's see, how did this work? This must have been the year before we did the fair because we saw him at the IFPDA fair with Luther. Brian, my partner, business partner, and I were wandering the fair. And Ivan showed up in this light sensitive paper suit.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah,
that I think Nellie made for him, who's an amazing seamstress and printer over at Powerhouse. And I was like, Ivan, that is the best goddamn suit I have ever seen. It was brilliant. And it had changed on the way there, depending on where, I was like, oh my God, you're such a printmaker at heart.
That's what I'm saying. And all of these people that, I mean, sometimes the artists that make the most interesting prints are the sculptors or painters or performance artists. It seems like its own thing, but actually I've watched artists be changed by their experience. Their whole practice changes just from doing a print project, or they'll come in and they think they know something about printmaking, and then they get to work with a master printer and they create something incredible. And then you'll go to their show a few months later And you're like, like I see that's from, I know what that's from. And that's from that plate that got totally destroyed and messed up and made that weird print. And it informs the rest of their practice, and they can't always shake it. And it becomes like a big part of who they are. I also think it can be a good catalyst for something new. Like if you're in a rut in your artistic practice and you don't, you're in a rut and you don't really have writer's block, so to speak, like, and you don't know what to do, playing around with some new materials and trying something new can unlock parts of your brain and then lead to new discovery.
Yeah, I think that's right. When it was your first day at the EAB fair.
Oh, God.
Oh my God. I mean, one could call it cruel. I mean, that is
something in me that I didn't know. I'm just kidding. I don't know.
It was fire. Oh my God.
It was deep into the pool stuff. And I survived. I remember enjoying it. Like maybe Bill and Larissa had a lot of confidence in me, or maybe they were desperate. We'll never know. But it was a really great experience for me. And I'm actually an introvert. Like
What?
I know. Everybody always says this. I like people though. I'm an introvert that likes people. And so, but I'm a little bit shy. Like I was too shy to like pick up the phone and order a pizza when I first moved to New York.
Well, now you don't have to.
No, I know now. Exactly. But imagine that. And this is also good for people that are like, what can I, what am I going to do? I'm just been spit out into the real world. What do I do? And I said yes to this opportunity to go and stand in like a fair. And I don't even think I'd been to an art fair, because I'd only been in New York for a couple of months. And so I did this fair. I was also the girl that was afraid to answer the phone now had to say, "Good morning, ULAE." Every good afternoon, ULAE. Like that was what I had to do. I was doing, QuickBooks, accounts payable, consignment agreements. Like I was doing like real office-y stuff where you'd have to call and argue about an invoice and, all these like weird things. And it was a really great experience, but I would have never thought, it was just like a muscle that I had to build. So yeah, so it was a leap of faith, I think, for the Goldstein crew, but I'm really glad that they gave me that opportunity. I'm very thankful that they trusted
clearly
me.
Clearly you excelled.
And well, thanks. The jury's still out, I guess.
Oh, I'm pretty sure you've made it, Marie.
Oh yeah. That's right.
Do you remember the first thing you sold at that fair?
Oh gosh. I doubt I sold anything. I mean, ULAE sold stuff. But I don't know. I think we had some Zachary Wallard, which I had never seen. That was like the first inkjet with a layer of etching that I mean, I don't really remember. I definitely was doing a lot of like, take it away, Larissa. Cause I didn't, I was like, and they're like, I like that. And I want to buy it. Okay, buy it. I was like, okay, great. And I can't quite sell sand in the desert, but I have definitely built up a little bit more of an understanding of how that works and the emotional process of acquiring art and how that works. And I do genuinely enjoy the matchmaking aspect of selling art, and when somebody really love something and then they respond to it. And I've done Art Puzzle Miami Beach, and I was in the ULAE booth, and a woman started crying in front of this Jim Rosenquist print. And
Rosenquist?
Yeah, I don't know.
Wow.
She was having a moment. And I like went over there and I was like, oh, okay. Like she's like, I'm like, yes, you can, I want to buy that. I'm like, okay, yes, it's yours. Like, pay us whenever, like,
wow.
But yeah, so it's like, I've seen the magic of that, and I've been around that enough now. I've done quite a few fairs since my first fair at the EAB fair. And I do enjoy that. And I'll do the Armory show in September as well. So yes, come and see me at the Armory show in the nonprofit section of that fair, which is really lovely, thriving in that nonprofit section of the Armory show at the Javits Center in September.
But not prints necessarily. It's a mix, right?
It's a mix. But there are some good print shops that are there. I don't know who's exhibiting this year, but it's definitely, we're basically in the river. Like we're in the back left. But if you can find us, you'll be happy, because there's a lot of lovely things. And I think also the price points refreshing in that corner. I think we got a lot of people that were, kind of like, oh gosh. And then they got to us and they're like, oh yeah, I'm going to get one for me and one for my son and my friend. And so come do your shopping in the back left corner of the Armory show.
the beauty of prints, right? Portability.
Right.
Yeah.
Of course. Accessibility. Yeah, it's important.
I don't, it's funny because we went to the EAB for however long, and I don't remember ULAE being like, to me, they've always been IFPDA. So funny.
Yeah, they did EAB first. So they did EAB a couple of times and then moved over to the IFPDA fair, but they did. And the Neiman Center did it, and now they do IFPDA. And obviously Lower East Side Printshop did it. And I think that's why Deshisa took it over, because it was such an important way for people to see the print shops, publications, and to see those curators and to see all of the collectors that come into town for it and that kind of thing.
Right. When this comes out, the print fairs will be long off, but you should always have them on your calendar, and you should always go, people, because you never see so many prints in one room at one time, ever, in the same way. And you get to talk to all the people who work with the print peoples and the artists, and couldn't be better. It's like the Shangri-La. It's the best thing ever.
It really is.
I love a print fair.
Me too. It's good people, and you always see something that you've never seen before, or how is that done, which is kind of remarkable because we've been around this for so long. Like, I still get excited, not just by process, but how an artist is using something that maybe I know, or something interesting that one of even the key holders in our studio is doing. I'll like walk through and be like, what is that? And they're making prints with the like Tetra packs, like the inside of like coconut water. Like, these are things that we didn't even have coconut water when I was in printmaking classes, but it was a very, like, this was new to me. And that was what was always really exciting too. It's like, what happens when you do this? Or like, can you use this? And it's like, I don't know, let's find out. Let's try it.
Yeah.
Let's try it.
Yeah. And that's always exciting. Obviously there's a lot you can do with painting. I'm always trashing the painters. But like, there's so many avenues in printmaking, and there's so many ways to go about it, but then there's infinite more ways to do it.
It's true. And, Aurélien Coupeau, my husband, he is a painter.
Sorry, Aurélien.
Sorry. No, he's been hearing this for a long time. My gosh. And he likes to remind me that he was making prints before I was making prints, which I don't know. But I don't know if it's true. But I've seen him work in printmaking and then start doing some screen printing on his paintings, and then he's like, I love paper, and I'm like, yeah, paper is amazing. I mean, canvas, whatever, but paper. And he's like, and that's real. And then he loves to remind me that all of the good words, Aurélien is French, of course, and he loves to remind me all the good words in printmaking are French. Bonnetiré and, gravure.
À la poupée.
À la poupée. That means like a poupée is a doll.
Right.
Buy the doll, these kind of things, But yes, of course, how could we forget that it's and all the paper. It's like, it's not arches, it's arche. Arche cover. Reeves, BFK. No, BFK. Reeves. BFK, the papers. Yeah. And he's right. Sennelier, Charbonnel.
Yeah. He's hilarious. You two were so cute at the fair that year.
Thanks. That was a while ago.
It was a long time before kids. Yeah, it was great.
Good times.
All right. Well, we've talked for an hour, if you can believe it. Is there anything coming up immediately you would like to share with folks?
I would just like to encourage everybody to come visit. We're going to have an open house in October, but we're always open to, if you want to bring a group and you want to come and just see the space, come to our openings. We try to have a good rotation of interesting shows, typically print related, sometimes other medium mixed in with printmaking. Look for us at the Armory show and different things, but by all means, if you're in New York or you're visiting for a weekend or for a week or something, send us a line, come by. Yeah, don't pop in necessarily. I mean, you can, but Monday through Friday, 10 to 6. But, you're welcome to come and see what we're doing. There's always something interesting going on in the print shop, which is fun, and the beauty of a print shop in general. But the community studio is always hopping. What I love about having that aspect is that people are here working when I arrive and people are here working when I leave. And that's pretty special. And if you're able to support us, by all means, please do so and acquire our prints, take our classes, book workshops and demonstrations, do your end of the year donations, and let's keep printmaking alive and well and thriving in this incredible city of New York.
Oh, you're good.
Contractually obligated to say that. No, it's my pleasure. But yes,
yeah.
no, thanks so much for this opportunity, Anna. It's always lovely to see you, even if on a screen. It's
I
great.
know. It's great talking to you, and I thank you for doing it. That's a wrap on my conversation with Marie Tennyson. A huge thank you to Marie for joining me and sharing such wonderful insights into her journey and the inspiring work happening at the Lower East Side Printshop. If you're in New York, you should take her up on that open invitation. Go visit their gallery, check out their residency programs, and see the magic of printmaking for yourself. You can find links to the print shop in our show notes, along with any images we talked about. As usual, I need to thank my team, Dan Fury of Extension Audio, for being my sound guy. Thanks, Dan. Uncle Michael Diamond for the use of his original music, and Skip Barnhart and Lee Turner for sounds from their studio that make up the intro and outro of each episode. If you enjoyed today's episode, please be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share Platemark with your fellow art lovers. It really is the best way for people to find us. Until next time, keep supporting great art. I'm Ann Shafer for Platemark.